Hello, everyone. My name is Marshall Nguyen, founder and CEO of the Wyn Group. This is the episode 8 of the Lykeminded podcast. Today, we have a good friend of mine here, Mr. Mike Jackson, the founder and CEO of Black Tech Talent. Man, I've known you for so long, bro. I'm so happy to see where you're at right now. So thank you so much for being here.
Is there? Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. How's life? How's everything?
Life is good, man. You know, it's our busy season. We're ramping up now. You know, It's May, so it's when a lot of corporations are deploying their capital and looking at their budgets and their fiscal calendars and stuff. And so for us, it's when we actually ramp up as well and start planning all of our events for the year. And just people are hiring, people are building businesses, looking for more staff. So it's busy but good.
Yeah, amazing. You know, I think just kind of thinking about it, I think we met like over a decade. I think we've been friends for more than 10 years.
I think we met in 2013. I was working on my film Vigilante, and I went out to Hollywood to work on some deals. And around that time, you hit me up to come use my studio. I had you were helping another mutual friend with his music, and that's where it began.
Right, and now that friend now became your business partner too, and it's all full circle. And I think that's, when I look at that, it's such a beautiful thing, man. It's like when we have good people doing business together, become friends first, and then we're all business together, business partners together now. So, Mike, it's important for us to really understand your story, right? Because ever since I met you, but the stories I hear about you, even before that, you've always been an entrepreneur. You've always worked for yourself. What's your story? What inspired you to start your own business? And because of those experiences, what has helped you propel those experiences for you to get to where you're at now?
Yeah, before I even jump into like the different businesses and things I've created over the years, I think it's important for the audience to hear that, especially those looking to get into entrepreneurship or who have already ventured in, like real entrepreneurs can't see their life any other way, right? A lot of times it's more work than having a day job, because in the day job you have a set amount of hours you work, you know how much you're getting paid, you get paid every 2 weeks, they handle taxes for you. It's simple. But in an entrepreneur's mind, it's not, right? It's difficult to have dreams and ideas or feel like a direction you could take a business and then have people tell you no, have people who are less creative or less visionaries, be over you in a certain position and feel like you're only making a set amount of money. I'd rather go a period of time making no money and then all of a sudden things work out and I get a chunk and it's actually more than I would have made working check to check than to just be in that cycle of, I know how much I'm getting paid and I'm getting hand-fed by an organization. So there's nothing wrong with having a job, but it should be a job that you're interested in, that you're passionate about, that you're appreciated from. But if you're somebody like me, somebody like yourself, like you do those things because you agreed to do them and you try to do them to the best of your ability, but the plan is always to exit and build your own thing. So that's the context I want to give so people don't just go, he was able to work for himself and build these things and I can go do it too. It has to really be in you because it's a hard road. It's not an easy road. But with that said, even going back to childhood, I grew up from humble beginnings, and so I always had the entrepreneurial spirit to get the things that I want. So as a kid, I didn't get game systems or Jordans or, new bicycles for birthdays and Christmas and stuff. Those are things I had to go by myself, right? And so I was always doing stuff, raking, shoveling, would sell candy door to door once, Costco and Sam's Club came around and I could get the wholesale prices. Was one of the first black kids in my school to build his own computer, and then I built it, and then I put a DVD burner in it and a CD burner in it.
No way. You never shared with me that story. That's incredible.
Yeah, I was in ninth grade.
Yeah.
And so I would just go to school. Kids would make a list. Boom. I'm making money off of that. I'm beating the vending machines on their prices with the candy. making money off of that, right? So that's kind of, just to give the context, like I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit and figuring out how to do things and how to make money outside of just the household and being too young to have a job at the time. But after that, I got into data entry for a organization called MGK. Mm-hmm. I was 15, 16 at the time, and they paid me per entry. So I had to type fast to get my money's worth. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I ended up getting regular jobs because it was harder to stay in that corporate structure at 15, 16 years old.
Right.
And so I worked at Subway. I worked at Arby's. I worked actually here in the mall. Mm-hmm. I worked at Greek Place. I worked at Panera Bread. Mm-hmm. They hired me while they saw me working at Arby's. They were doing interviews in the food court, and they saw me every day. And they're like, "You're one of the hardest workers. You want to work with us?" Mm-hmm. And they just gave me the job. And so I was there to help launch the Panera Bread. And then I ended up working at Lifestyle, which was a clothing store. And I was doing valet as well. So valet was nice because we get a lot of money for tips during the holidays. Mm-hmm. And then Lifestyle was dope because we served a lot of celebrities. So that's how I ended up meeting club promoters. I met a lot of celebrities. I met a lot of athletes. And that gave me, and then it was all sales. And so that's what gave me the skills to like take my sales to a next level and speak to people who were wealthier, who had a lot of, fame and stuff like that, and feel comfortable in those type of environments. Mm-hmm. So those were kind of my early days job-wise.
Right. And just kind of think about it, too, is those experiences, when we, all of us worked at such a young age. I remember even in high school, we were just hustling, right?
Yep.
Burning CDs and selling it. I remember, I remember Eminem during that time was my favorite rapper, and I would burn CDs and sold it to my friends because they couldn't afford it. Yep. So I gave them a huge discount and just do mixtapes like that. And I think just looking back, I've really realized that those experiences, those jobs, whatever we did, it's who we are. It's made us to be who we are today, and it's about having perspective. And I think our biggest win, people that grew up very humble, with humble beginnings, we've gone through so much, is our biggest win will always be the perspective that we have. Because those experiences is made who we are today.
Yeah. As
business people, right?
Yeah. And I think one of the, hardest things to navigate is when you don't have a mentor, right? And so for me, like I said, it was in me, right? And so I remember being like 11 or 12, and I'm riding with my grandfather, and I'm just talking, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I either want to be dead broke or filthy rich. Mm-hmm. And he was like, why? And I was like, because in the middle is when you get scared.
Right.
If I'm dead broke, I have nothing to lose, and if I'm filthy rich, I can't lose.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
And I didn't have any financial literacy. I was just observing. I was just this kid who had a lot of ideas and wanted to try things. And then I would talk to people who had money, right? Middle class. Mm-hmm. But to me, they have money because I grew up poor, right? And they would be scared. Oh, no, I can't do that. I gotta save. I gotta, we gotta start saving today for a car we're gonna buy when this car dies. Not in 5 years when the new model comes out or when we want a new. It's like, we're gonna ride this till it dies, and then we're gonna have a new car, and we're gonna start saving today for that. And it's like, back then I didn't know the term opportunity cost, but it's now the translation would be, what about the opportunities you could take now and you're saving for a car that you're going to buy in 15 years or whatever it may be, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was always the mentality, but how do we get there? Mm-hmm. That's why stuff like this podcast is important, because we can give people game on, okay, you have this passion, you have these ideas, but how do you put it together and get there? How do you find a mentor? How do you, there's all these resources online, but, watching a tutorial on YouTube or searching something up on Google is not the same as having somebody you can sit down and be like, okay, I see 1 + 1 = 2, but when I do that, it turns into 3. Why is that? And it's like, oh, because you're actually doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. Or this is a simpler way to do it, right? And so, like you said, all of those experiences and kind of figuring out on my own and bumping my head and working for other people and seeing how they moved turns into what you get today.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually smart that you talk about mentorship, right? I think even with me growing up, I never thought about what is a mentor, because we only knew what we knew, and our parents worked 7 days a week and long hours, and my sister, my family, my friends were my mentors, and it's just thinking about just incredible. I think a lot of the times, even now, I have a lot of mentors in my life in different aspects of my life, and these are not paid mentors, because there's a big difference. There are mentors where they are your friends, and they're much elevated than you are, and you build such a strong relationship with them that they share with you a lot of great life experiences to basically give you the cheat code to life, right? And those are the type of mentorships that I love. Obviously there's people selling courses, which I think is it's a different topic.
Yeah.
But those are the type of mentorships that I appreciate, those type of relationships, because those are the people that you can count on for life. Those are the friendships that you're going to have for life, right? So let's talk about Black Tech Talent, man. Yeah. I think one of the coolest things about Black Tech Talent is when you first approached me about it, I was like, man, this is this is a really cool concept, because I can brag and say, hey, you know what? I know one of the first guys to actually start out a tech company that's Black. That's one of my good friends, right? So, but again, it's not easy. So can you kind of share a little bit about what Black Tech Talent is and the challenges and the triumphs that you've experienced?
Yeah, so, I started Black Tech Talent in 2020, so we started in the pandemic. And our goal is to increase the representation of Black technologists in both corporate careers and entrepreneurship. And we do that by curating a pipeline of job opportunities, education, community, and then what we call culturally specific content. And so, I pretty much came up with the idea during really the first couple of weeks of the stay-at-home orders during the pandemic. So, prior to that, I had my company Premium, as you know, where we were more on the entertainment side, and we were doing, ticketing, and we built our, own apps and stuff for that platform. And I was actually getting pretty far. I got into Google for Startups. I got into Founder Gym. I was working with some big companies to handle their data for their events and stuff like that. And then stay at home, no more events. People are getting laid off. People are worried about their jobs, and it's hard to get a response from them. And so I'm literally sitting in my room trying not to get depressed and going, dang, I just had all this progress. I put all this money and all these years into this platform, and now it seems like it's being wiped out with no, knowledge of when this is going to end. When
I've seen it. Yeah, I saw you put so much time and energy into Premium.
Yeah. Went through 5 developers to get it done, and, invested all my own money. Like, it was a lot. And so I'm trying not to get depressed, and I'm going, okay, well, what can I do? And I'm just cycling through all the different opportunities, and I'm like, and this, mind you, this is the beginning. So this is before any PPP money went out. This is before even tax season and all this other stuff. And so I'm going, okay, well, the people don't have any money, and they're panicking, so I can't create like a new product to sell to the, citizens. I'm like, the government's going to have to get money out to the citizens, so it's going to be tight asking them for, any type of money or partnerships. But I was like, well, these corporations, they're going to grow. We're all stuck at home. Technology is going to be huge. This is before they're even thinking about it. They're laying people off and tightening their belts. But I'm like, there's money. And then I was thinking like a promoter where I'm like, South by Southwest, CES, all these big events that they sponsor, all these TV shows that they sponsor, all that stuff is canceled. So I'm like, if I can get them, the money's still there. So if I can get them to move that budget over, maybe I can do something. And so I hit up 3 or 4 companies, and I said, hey, I'm launching this company. It's called Black Tech Talent. We're going to start off with a job board. We can do, I probably said Skype at the time. This is before Zoom just took over everything. But I was like, we can do, online events and resume reviews and stuff like that. What do you think? And they all said they were interested. So this is, end of March, beginning of April of 2020. And from there, I bought the domain, $12. My initial investment was $12.
I'm sure it's worth a lot right now.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah. We had a multi-million-dollar valuation now.
Right.
But yeah, so started off with $12. Told a couple of friends about it, and I was like, "Hey, this is what I'm going to be doing." And literally, the team formed by everybody saying, "What do you need from me?" I wasn't even pitching for them to get involved with it because, mind you, my other companies put on pause. So I'm like, I got to build something for me. I want to keep helping my community. Mm-hmm. Where's that combination? And so, but literally I was like, yeah, I think this is what I'm going to do during the pandemic. And then the first person I told, she was like, what do you need from me, bro? I love that mission. Later on, I hit her and I was like, you want to get involved? You want some equity? She was like, yeah, I didn't even know that was going to be an option. Told another friend, yeah, this is what I think is going to be my move during this time. What I got to do to get involved? Mm-hmm. What I got to put in? What do you need from me? And so literally that was the energy from who you see as the core team today.
But also that shows you as a leader.
Yeah.
Being able to cast that vision.
Definitely. I mean, everybody in my friend group knows that if I have a vision and I feel strongly about something, something's going to come from it, right? Mm-hmm. Everything that I've ever done has generated some type of revenue and has opened a lot of doors and created opportunities and learning experiences. So not everything has become a big business or had a huge exit, but literally everything that I've done, like you said in the beginning of this podcast, like all the experiences bring you to who you are once you are very successful. And so all my friends know that. So mm-hmm. They can get involved. They don't have to get involved. You know, some things I do create just for myself. But I think the other thing is people know that I take my position as a leader very seriously. I take, like, part of the reason why I told them in the beginning, like I said, wasn't to get them involved necessarily. I was checking up on everybody every week, being like, hey, these people are hiring. What are you doing? These are the investments you should vet. One of my friends, I put him onto an investment, and he was like that, and I was like, yeah. And he ended up putting money in, and he made almost $100,000 from the tip that I gave him. Right. So, you know, so everybody understands, like, Mike takes our friendship seriously. He takes his role as like a community leader and just a leader in general seriously. So if they're passionate about something that I'm also passionate about, it usually comes together.
Yeah, you know, and I think one thing that people have to understand too, us as as businessmen, is especially when we work with a community, right? And how people define community could be within where you live, your ethnic, your race, it doesn't matter, right? But one common denominator that I find out is through experiences is, when you take care of the community, they'll end up taking care of you. Yeah. Right. And I think that's, you know, when I look at you, that's basically what I see. You know, you're taking care of your people. That's why they're still there with you. Mm-hmm. You know, you give them free game, you put them on, right? And a lot of times people forget that, you know, how did I get there? You know, it's from people. Right? Yeah. Our job, Mike, and I share this to our team a lot, is that us as business people is to connect. Yep. Right. Our goal is to connect people, and if they do well, guess what? We will do well, right? So I think that's a beautiful thing.
Definitely.
You know, so I know you're busy, man. You know, outside of Black Tech Talent, you did share with me a few months back actually that you were going to start your own consulting business. Yeah. And I think that's a genius move because you know so much, right? And what you know has a lot of value. So can you kind of share a little bit about what your consulting business is and how people can, you know, take part if they want to basically hire you for your work?
Yeah, so behind the scenes, I've been doing a lot of consulting for people and giving them advice and stuff, and some paid, some, you know, just through friendship or networking. Or
you actually give me a lot of free advice.
I do. I'm calling that favor soon. No, but it's so I say that to say it's something I've always genuinely been passionate about, and so I've kept getting offered like these 6-figure roles at different companies, to be a business consultant or an executive director, or kind of these different things. and none of them were the right fit for me, right? And so there was literally a year where I turned down like $500,000 worth of opportunities. And of course, all my friends were like, "You're crazy. You could have did that and did this and finessed it." And I'm like, "No, I like my lifestyle. You know, I make enough money to where I'm not stressed about that. It has to be in alignment with the lifestyle and the goals and the things I want to accomplish." And going back to what I said earlier about if you're truly an entrepreneur, you're always, even when a job is enticing, you're always going to be like, I could just do that on my own, right? Mm-hmm. And so, few months ago, I was like, I'm going to start a consulting firm, but I'm going to launch it as an academy first. And the reason being is if I do a cohort model, I don't have to go out and get the clients one by one. I can take you through a boot camp, and then we can assess the likelihood of your success and how, based on how serious you are, based on your idea and all these other metrics. And then from there, be like, okay, we can take you on as a client on the consulting side. But now you have all the information that you need. So the name is Rocket Growth Academy, which is funny because I was going to pilot this academy curriculum with U of M. And of course, that helps, you know, validate what we're doing because we're going to do it with Carlson, their School of Business Management. And this is something that they had actually requested for me to do with them before I had proposed it. And during that process, I ended up being a business coach for NASA. And so I was able to actually, thank you. And so I was actually able to bring the curriculum that I was creating into that environment and use those, you know, measurements to be like, okay, let's see if this works. And I was able to, through that cohort, train everybody on the curriculum that I was using. And NASA was extremely impressed with what I was able to do. And so I was like, well, I got my cosign, right? I got my validation outside of everything else I've done. And of course, the success Black Tech Talent is having now. I can say I've been a business coach for NASA. And so I just locked in a pretty big client to help them basically design their own tech accelerator. And so I'm super excited about that. I'll announce who it is after we, you know, figure a few other things out, and they're ready to launch and make the announcement. But so I'm very excited about that. And then the actual cohort model that I'm doing will probably release somewhere around June or July, where people will actually be able to sign up. Hopefully we'll have some corporate partners that will cover some tuition for people who can't afford it, but are very bright and have a great idea. Right. And then they'll be in there and everybody will be growing.
Oh, amazing, man. And again, that goes back to your experience. If you didn't do Black Tech Talent, you wouldn't even have that type of experience and knowledge to get to the next level, right? Yeah. So it's incredible when, you know, just in business in general. So I share with my team like all the time is that just do what you can because these experiences, it's going to help you get to the next level.
Definitely.
And we're always propelling, man, and whatnot. But I also want to say thank you so much for giving us the opportunity months back to basically have us represent Black Tech Talent to find your headquarters in St. Paul.
Definitely. It's almost been a year now, actually.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That was a really fun deal. And it's so cool, like, working with your friends, you know, that on a professional level. So it's nice that we're friends, we trust each other, but also being able to trust each other on that professional level, making sure that we all look out for each other's best interests.
Definitely. I remember when we started the search, and it was actually Jay might have been there too. It might have been your whole team. Yeah. I don't think Stas was there, but I think everyone, Ozzy, you. Yep. I think Winnie, I think it was most of the team, and we were looking at the uptown locations.
Correct.
And there was a moment where we were walking out, and we were like, "Oh, we'll just walk to the next spot." And we were walking, and I was just like, "Yo, this is dope." Like we've known each other for probably 13 years now, or something like that. And so to see the growth that we've had, but to be able to be like, these are some of my friends. I brought them into Black Tech Talent. These are some of my other friends. They're helping us find a space for Black Tech Talent. Like, those are the moments that I've always desired, right? When people hear things like your network is your net worth, but everybody's on the come up. So it's like we're all friends. We're trying to do stuff, but we're not of that level yet, right? Yeah. So you're trying to network out, and that was a moment where we actually were able to network within, and side to side, and say, "Hey, I'm getting to do some dope things with my friends," and like we're all at a certain level now where our network is our net worth.
Absolutely, man, and I'm so happy to know you, and seeing your growth.
Likewise.
Since we met. So this is a personal question, all right? Mm-hmm. And feel free to answer this if you want, but this is between me and you, okay? How has our friendship influenced your approach to business, if at all?
Yeah. Most of my friends, especially that are entrepreneurs, like inspire me in different ways and teach me different things. And I think for you watching your journey, it's like you never gave up. You've always been very focused on whatever you were, putting yourself into, which is important because as a friend, your mind be all over it casually. Yes. But in business, you've always been focused. You've always been very driven. Anything that I've seen you try over the years, like you put your all into it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it does work, you take those lessons and put that into the next thing. And so you've definitely inspired me in the sense of the way you go out, you seek mentorship, as we talked about earlier. You figure out and analyze if an industry is interesting to you, and then you jump in and you're all in when you jump in and you give your all. And so that's always been inspiring to see, like, what you've been able to do. You having your own company now, that was something you talked about early on. And a lot of people say that, and they're like, oh, one day I'm going to launch my own thing. But a lot of times when they get the nice cushy position and they're getting accolades from that position under somebody else's company, they don't leave, right? And I know that was a journey for you because you also had a relationship with who you were working with, and that was kind of your start in this field, right?
Right.
But I watched you navigate that and now actually stand on your words of what you were saying, and now you've been able to build something great on your own as well and follow through with your legacy. So, that's inspiring in itself to be like, okay, this is a like-minded individual who's just like doesn't necessarily have all the resources some other people have. We all have our advantages and disadvantages, but you still put in the work every time and you did something. So I'm always going to respect you for that. And
thank you, bro.
Appreciate the way you've navigated and built your life. That's one thing I'm big on, like curating your own growth, right? And there's a lot of people who could have pushed you in different directions or tried to, hold you down in no, you're just good at this, just do this. You can't do it on your own. You're not built like that. And you were like, I'm going to build myself.
Oh, like yeah, that, man. You already know. We have so many people that said that even behind each other's backs, you guys can't do it. You can't do that. But I think as in business, you need those type of people, right? And without that, you have no perspective. You won't appreciate what you have if you didn't have anybody that said that you couldn't do it.
Yep.
Right. So, which is crazy, man, when I think about it. And and again, my previous company was Wyn Group, and I built such a great relationship with everybody there, and they helped me out so much during my growth in this career. And I think that was like one of the hardest things for me to ever do. It was really, really hard, and a lot of tears from both sides. But it's great because you know that you were with the right people when they support you and say, hey, you know what? I'm happy that you're doing this. It's about time, right? Sometimes, and we have to let people fly. Let them fly. That's our job as a leader, is to help them curate their life and have them reach their fullest potential. And whether they stay here or not, and this is, I tell my team too, is that, my job here is to not keep you guys here forever. I want you to become the best version of yourself. And if one day you start your own company, man, I'll be there to support. Because I was at your situation at one point, right? But as long as we do stuff together, we have a lot of fun here. So I always want to keep that relationship. But our job is to build people, have them fly, and that's when I think that's what the real success is.
Definitely.
Right. So, okay. So, one last question.
Okay.
All right. Before we're done, and I think a lot of people are gonna like this question because it's about resources, right? Mm-hmm. What are 3 books, tools, or resources that have significantly impacted your work life?
Yeah, I love that question because a lot of people don't read books anymore, especially physical books. Some people do the audio book thing. I actually like physical books. So I don't even know if I should share my top 3.
Yeah.
That's too powerful.
Free game.
Yeah, I think How to Win Friends and Influence People. Mm-hmm. Very important.
One of my favorite books.
Yeah,
that was one of the first books I ever read.
Yeah, it's very important, and it's just the premise of actually treating people how you'd want to be treated, but you have to kill the ego. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't say it like that. I'm just summarizing it for the audience,
right?
Because that's what it takes to go. How do I add value to somebody, knowing that they're probably not even thinking strategically this way when it comes to me. Mm-hmm.
And having emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Right? That's the biggest thing.
Definitely. So I'll definitely say that one. I would also say if you're building a team, Outliers.
Mm-hmm. It's a great book.
Outliers is great. And then I would throw in, if you're trying to be a scrappy entrepreneur, I would throw in well, I'm blanking out on it. The Power of Broke by Damon John. Mm-hmm. And it's essentially about that network. Like, how do I want to achieve something? I may not have the money for it, but what value do I have where I can add? Whether that's, hey, I want to start a podcast. I can't afford a podcast studio. Can I do something for you and use your space? Mm-hmm. Right? Or, I'm trying to get my clothing line on celebrities. Okay, I may not have money for an endorsement deal, but can I pop up at a concert, pay a promoter, do promotions for the show, sell tickets, help them out, and then get to the celebrity? So it's about how you can add value in ways to still achieve what you want, even if you may not have the money. So those would be the 3: How to Win Friends and Influence People, Power of Broke, and Outliers.
Amazing, man. Well, guys, I know this podcast episode could have gone a few hours.
Yeah, easily.
Because whenever you and I talk, even on the phone, it's like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours pass, and I'm like, man, time flew by quick, right? So, incredible story. I'm so happy that you were able to come on the Lykeminded podcast. Yes. We love having entrepreneurs here, and just having people share the story. So. We look forward to hopefully having you here again when you're not as busy as you are.
Yeah. I got to come back once we launch the cohort for Rocket Growth.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, guys, if you want to know more about Mike Jackson, Mike, can you please let the audience know where they can find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me at Mike J is Forever for my personal Instagram, and then Black Tech Talent on everything else. So LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all the other socials we have. Just follow Black Tech Talent.
We're signing off. Thank you. Peace.